Hi, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you how I would help kids cope with any kind of loss, grief, sadness, any of those sorts of feelings. And I felt very drawn to making this video because recently my youngest son has been struggling with those sorts of feelings of grief and loss. My mother's kind of near the end of her life at the moment, and as a family we are kind of releasing a lot of grief, and I really felt that my youngest in particular was getting very impacted by these emotions, probably not always necessarily understanding what was going on for him. But I felt very drawn to helping him to overcome and kind of cope with these feelings. So it all came about when he found a dead blue tit in the garden, a dead bird. And, I noticed that he was kind of spending a lot of time picking up the bird and, and just I could feel that he felt quite heavy around it. So I thought, well, I'm going to kind of prepare a little ceremony, a little ritual to help him with the loss of the bird, because I felt that, in fact, that this loss, these feelings were kind of amplified because of what was going on at the time for our family. So I thought, right, we're going to do a little ceremony, a little kind of ritual to help him, cope with this loss. And I feel this is something that could be done, especially when a child kind of loses a family pet, or just anything really. I suppose a friendship or even a loved one. It can be something that can be adapted, but specifically to help them with those feelings of loss and of grief. So what we did was we found a box, had this lovely sort of chocolate box, and we popped the bird inside, and we popped a label on the box, and my son Rafi, he wrote something on the box to do with the bird and gave it a name. And then we found a kind of a more secluded spot in the garden. And I said, look, you can either bury it or you can place it, somewhere that it's sheltered and protected. So we found the ideal spot. And, I gave him a tea light, and we found a little jam jar that he decorated. He had already done that, but we just got a little jam jar. I think it was like a yogurt pot or something originally, and placed a little tea light, which is what I mean by a tea light for those of you who don't know, inside. And then that's something that could be lit once the place has been established. And then I had some pebbles that I'd got from the seaside a few years ago. I just sourced, and I had some metallic pens. So my son drew this. Oh, it's upside down. He drew this lovely bird on one of the pebbles, and then I was decorating my pebble. We actually spent quite a nice sort of a happy, tranquil half an hour just decorating our pebbles. And we just place those by the box in that special place with the candle. You could also bring little crystals or pine cones, just pick a bunch of wild flowers and just place them there as well. It just all kind of defines the resting place, as it were, or however you like to term it, and just brings more of the elements in, and brings a kind of a little bit of a higher frequency around it. And then you could light the candle, and I just think that actual process of setting up a place and kind of making it into a more of a special sacred place will really help your child with the letting go process. And I guess that's how funerals work. That's how I've always understood them, is it's really important to do that, because it does help with that letting go process, and it it helps the person say goodbye and detach, and also to help them kind of release more of those feelings of grief, because you don't want those sort of kind of stuck inside you doing mischief. Now, obviously, I understand that everyone has their belief around these things, their own personal belief and their own personal faith, be it religious or spiritual, or possibly even none at all. But I do feel personally that it's important to do some sort of ritual around, you know, the death of a loss of a loved one or a pet, or, you know, just the loss of something that's bringing up those feelings of grief. And on a kind of a more spiritual level, you know, I really do believe that this grief that we all have in different ways, that come up for us in different ways, kind of stems back from past lifetimes, that we've had this, where we've suffered a disconnection from spirit. So I'm kind of going back, probably back to the, you know, the ancient worlds of Lemuria, when we were bodies of light and we kind of anchored into our physical body. And by that process, we, you know, we disconnected from the light. So we really all carry that feeling, those feelings of deep, deep grief, which are very hard feelings to kind of embody and release, and, you know. So I feel that any way that you can do that, when you do find yourself bringing up those aspects, it is a good thing, really, especially for children. And I think sometimes we make those choices as adults, you know, which is perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned, you know, not to let them come, if we're talking about the death of love level, maybe not let them participate in the funeral because we feel that it's better for them. I do feel that it's important to do some sort of ceremony or ritual, wherever that might be, just to, as I said, to help them cope with those feelings of grief.